What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today, I figured since I want to save Warzone for Friday and just do that one, I'm going to do Punisher 2004. Well, I was supposed to do this on Friday. But man, this movie, to me, this is like, in terms of legit film, this is the definitive version of Punisher. Thomas Jane plays Frank Castle so well. That scene when he sees his family dead. I do like the change. It was like, I know in the original it's just his wife and kids, not like his whole family. But I think it works this way too. I mean, his wife and kids are still killed. It's still, but I do think like to have his whole family killed. That scene when Howard Saint's wife just like casually, it's like kill all of them. It was like, bro. And John Travolta as Howard Saint was really good. Like he played a really good villain. Like he played the villain like it's like he kind of reminded me of the guys from The Crow, where it's like you wanted him to get his finally. And I thought Travolta did a really good job. I actually think Travolta's an underrated. I mean, he was a bad guy in in Face Off, you know. So in this, he was great. He's a great kind of crime boss. In that scene, like I said, going back to where Frank's family is killed, Roy Scheider. I didn't remember him even being in this movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm like, holy shit, he's in this movie. Yeah, like this movie is great. Like I mean, I'm a big Punisher fan. Punisher is one of my favorite characters in like probably my Marvel in general, but even in comics. The whole story of him, his family getting killed and he decides to become this anti-hero. He's like the anti-Batman. He's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna kill these motherfuckers. And it's like I have to exist, and that's what makes his story so good. And the fact that he's street level, he doesn't fight. He's not like fighting. Sometimes in the comics he does, but largely he's a very street level hero. He's not like fighting aliens or some beings from like a different dimension or some gods or anything crazy or even like super powered people. A lot of times it's like mob bosses or whatever. But in this version, yeah, he starts off as an FBI agent. I'm okay with that change, little changes like that. He's an undercover agent who, in this undercover sting, Howard Saint's son ends up getting killed, and that's what gets him the ire of the Saints, and that's why he gets his family killed. And then he fakes his death. Obviously, he acts like he's dead for a while, but then after torturing one of Howard's people, Mickey, he basically gets the information, and like they get the tone of the Punisher really right. Like there's not a lot of comedy or really at all. It's a serious story. His family gets Punisher's a serious character, and I really think they captured that. And I like his look, and that scene when he finally becomes the Punisher, when he finally suits up. That fight with Kevin Nash, though, I think that's probably my favorite fight in the whole movie because it's not like Punisher fucking dominated. He got his ass whooped like probably majority of that fight. He just happened to finally get the advantage. But for majority of it, he was getting his ass whooped. He was getting thrown through fucking walls. He was getting his ass fucking whooped. While, this like kind of music was opera-y music was kind of playing. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite comic book movie fights. It's just so I love how hard hitting and just raw it is. It's not like clean. It's not stylized. Like no, Punisher getting kind of fucked up for for a couple of minutes. So, but yeah, then when he finally decides to confront fucking Saint in the end, it's great. And then he finally kills him. And then when he decides to become the Punisher, it's just such a fun film. The soundtrack's great. A lot of early 2000s kind of rock. I mean, fucking Drowning Pool, Step Up that they play in the credits. It's like it's just like that. It's fitting for a Punisher movie. When I think of Punisher movie, it better have like metal music. Like that's like the only kind of music it should have. So yeah, overall, I love this movie. If I were to give this out of 10, like almost 10, it's a 9.5. I think this is the definitive Punisher movie. I love Warzone because of how like just batshit and violent it is, but this is objectively the better film. Like Thomas Jane really delivers it as Punisher, man. That scene when he tortures Mickey, it like really shows he can be Punisher. So, but yeah, like I don't think there's been a bad. At least the ones I've seen, I've not seen the Nick the Dolph Lundgren one, which I'm gonna watch probably after I do Warzone. Um, so, but yeah, overall, I really love this film. So let's get into it. But before I get into it, tomorrow, Insidious first time watch. That's all I can say. I've never seen it, just because like I was just not really into paranormal horror at the time. So it just and like kind of like poltergeisty and ghosts. I just wasn't into that at the time, so that's why I didn't end up watching it. But I heard it was really good, so can't wait to check that out tomorrow. But yeah, let's get into The Punisher. So the film opens up with Howard Saint's son doing a deal and uh, Frank posing as like this, big drug dealer, plus Saint when he turns out he's an agent. Or in the scuffle, Saint ends up getting shot, and along with Frank Castle, I'm okay with this change, because Frank Castle's an undercover agent who faked his death, like as that drug dealer guy. I thought it was an okay, like, because a lot of versions, majority of versions, he was in the military, he's a Marine. But I'm okay with this, him being a like, because at least an agent, you could still say he was in the Marines. It's just he decided to become like join the FBI. Like I'm okay with that. It doesn't really bother me. Like I'm okay with little changes like that when you could still capture the spirit. And I thought this film very much captured the spirits of Punisher. It gets going pretty quick too. Like when Howard finds out about his son, he has people kind of spy on Frank basically, and when they get the information, he goes to his wife and they ask him or her, and she just straight up says kill his whole family, not just kill him, kill his whole family. And then yeah, Frank has a big get together with his wife, his dad, which is John Roy Scheider, which I'll admit I was shocked. I didn't remember he was in this movie. It's kind of weird to see him in a movie that's not Jaws, and very much when he's older too. I thought he was good though. Like the couple scenes he had with Frank were pretty good. And yeah, when they attack, yeah, that scene is just tragic. Cause like yeah, you think it's just like this normal family get together, and then it's just everybody starts fucking dying, and Frank's wife and son are trying to escape, but they can't. They end up getting killed. They don't show it. You just see Frank run up, and he just sees their bodies, or you probably like hear a shot, and then yeah, he sees their bodies, and he tries to take some of them out, but unfortunately he gets overwhelmed, and they seemingly kill him. He gets sent, shot, and then sent in the ocean, but he gets found, and revived. So yeah, everyone thinks at this point he's dead. And when he finds out about his family, he gets his guns together and starts. He moves to this new like little apartment and starts basically following all of Frank's people. And yeah, it just I really love this. Like just how like raw that scene is when he sees his family and he's cradling them, and yeah, I'm okay with him being there because I think some versions he's not there. Um, so I'm okay with the little change as long as you still capture that spirit. And yeah, when he's cradling them in his arms, and it's just so sad. Um, so yeah, he ends up killing a couple of Howard's people. Just they do like try to do like like that Western game where like they each have a gun on each other, and then yeah, he ends up killing both of them. That scene was pretty good because they try to send a couple like people try to get a hit on Frank, but So yeah, at this point he's the Punisher. He tortures a couple of people. Oh, Mickey. Which I thought this scene was funny. He was like using a blowtorch, and he's like, what he's using it on is fucking like meat. So he's cooking steak basically, and then like heating it on this like it was like popsicle, and like basically burning him. Like that is very much something Punisher would do. So that's why I'm like, I thought Thomas Jane really captures it perfectly. Like that switch from him becoming basically being Frank Castle to becoming the Punisher, even before like the skull. Because that's the other thing a lot of people don't understand. He doesn't just become the Punisher when he has the skull. It's like before, like pretty much the moment his family is killed, he becomes the Punisher, even before he gets his actual like costume and all that shit. Like he's already the Punisher at that moment. You know, the moment he loses his family. And I really think that is what this movie really captures. It has the tone. It goes. I'm okay with them not doing like a villain like the Jigsaw. That's why I do like Warzone though, because it does go almost more comic booky in a way. Because Jigsaw is actually one of Punisher's villains in the comics. Like this one is more like it is a comic book movie, but I'd almost say it's almost still like an action movie, revenge story, where he just because Howard Sane isn't really like an actual character, at least as far as I know. I could be fucking wrong. Because, yeah, I'm more DC, but I do know Marvel, but I don't remember Howard Sane actually being an actual villain. I think he was just for this movie. But it works, this mob guy kills his family, and he wants to get revenge. I'm cool with that. Punisher doesn't have, like villains. He's not like Batman, right? Who has, like, all these comic book type villains. I'm okay with Punisher just kind of does a lot of his villains just being kind of mob guys. And then if he does fight a villain, it's a lot of time when he's teaming up with other characters. So, like, Jigsaw's, like, his only real, like, villain, like, in that sense. But yeah, so I'm okay with him not being in this movie. So, Howard hires the Russian, which that's Kevin Nash. So, at this point, Frank's getting to know, like, his neighbors. Because one day he actually stands up for them. Because the girl, dated like an abusive dude type who's like trying to force his way in. Frank basically like breaks his arm and forces him to like kind of go away. So he kind of starts becoming kind of friendly with the neighbors. And then when they kind of trick him to basically having like, I think it was breakfast or dinner, one of the two. And then that's when, while Punisher's off for a second, that's when he gets attacked by the Russian. We get this badass fight between the two. Like, they got like music playing in the background while Punisher's fighting this fight was great. Like I love how fucking gritty this was. This wasn't like a beat. Like no me wrong. Like I said, I always like these choreographed fights, but I'm cool with something like this where it's more hard hitting and it's more realistic. Yeah, because realistically, you're not gonna have these stylized fights, and it's not like Frank when he fights like. He's not like his fights aren't gonna be like the best. He's not like Batman, right? Where it's gonna be like this crazy shit. He's like when Frank fights, it's much more hard hitting and raw. So I think this fight really captures that. Yeah, majority of it, he got his fucking ass whooped. He gets just like yeeted through walls. He has to dodge like a grenade. Cause he throws a grenade at the Russian, and the Russian like just bats it away with like a crowbar or something like that. Yeah, it was a great fight. But yeah, he ends up killing him. Punisher ends up killing him. And then Frank's people try to, because Punisher has like a hideout, like a little trapdoor hide thing. So he hides there with the girl while they interrogate the neighbors. And even the one with the piercing, he ends up like kind of forcing, but the guy refuses to give him up. So then he just has his people waiting there. Punisher kills him, then gets ready to confront Howard. He tricks one of them into a deal because he fake changes his voice and acts like it's because he basically fucks over him because Howard has like a deal with the Cubans and he fucks that up, burns the money and all this shit. Howard thinks his wife's having an affair with the main guy, but it turns I think Gus was his name, and it turns out, yeah, he's gay. Apparently, that's revealed at some point. But yeah, so he has his wife killed. He throws her on the track. Like this at this point, like Howard's like kind of freaking out. Frank attacks Howard's like building, killing a lot of his people. Like that, this final sequence was fucking amazing. The amount of people he was just killing casually, and then kind of like I love like shit like this where he almost chases Howard out. Like it's like a horror movie. Like he just follows him. So he shoots Howard and then ties him to a car, and basically a car full of explosives, blows Howard up. And then initially he's gonna kill himself because he has his mission fulfilled, and maybe has like a thought, maybe I can be with my family. But then he has a vision of his wife, and he realizes no, I can be. He basically just kind of has like a little monologue where he says he's gonna become the Punisher and all that. I fucking love this movie. It's such just so hard hitting. The story's great. Thomas Jane really captures the Punisher. I'm okay. Like I said, I'm okay with the change that he's like an FBI agent. Like, 'cause in my head, even though they don't really mention he's in the military, you could still like infer he was in the Marines and all that. It works. Like, I get what they're trying to do. They were trying to make it their own. I still think it's a good story. Um, Fucking John Travolta as Howard Saint was so good. Like, you just couldn't wait till Frank got him. That fight with the Russian was so fucking great. How hard hitting that was. It went for a minute. It wasn't like Frank got his ass whooped that whole fight, pretty much. He got some good shots in, but he got his ass whooped a lot of that fight. So it's just kind of nice to see something like that. Just kind of watch compared to a lot of these current superhero films where your hero can't just get fucked up. You don't see your hero getting fucked up like that. Not really. Like, dude, Frank got his ass whooped this fight. Like, this was hard hitting. Like, just how raw it was. It wasn't just. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with if you want to show Punisher just fucking everybody up, but I'm cool with something like this where, you can show him having a. Because he's still a human. He's not like some enhanced dude. He's just a guy at the end of the day, and that's what makes Frank work. So if he goes against a bigger dude, he's gonna probably get his ass whooped a little bit. So he has to be smart and try to figure his way out. And that's what makes it work. So I think Thomas Jane really kills it. That scene where he finally kills Howard is awesome. So the cat, even like the people who lived in the apartment, they were fucking they were fucking decent characters. You didn't necessarily meet them, but I thought they were fine. Like Punter, it's almost like a semblance of a normal life. So overall, I really love this movie. I think this is probably the definitive Punisher movie. Thomas Jane might be the definitive Punisher, though I don't know. He and Ray Stevenson are tied because I really like Ray Stevenson's Punisher. Because for me, Punisher comics are there are a lot of Punisher comics like Warzone, where it's just batshit crazy action. And yeah, the story may not be as good, but it's just batshit crazy action. There are Punisher stories like that. And I thought this one was, and it leaned a bit more into the comic stuff. I mean, with Jigsaw, I thought he was good. I watched it like a month or two ago, and I really liked it. I still think it holds up. It's not as good as the Thomas Jane one, but I do like this one. And I do, even though, yeah, it's more of a reboot, I can still in my head act like it's a sequel. I mean, I can act like the events of this movie happened and they just don't necessarily mention it. So, because overall, it's still the mythos of the Punisher. So I do like that one. So, but this one is definitely the best one. The soundtrack's great. Fucking metal. Like, that's what a Punisher soundtrack should be. Just metal music. Like, or alternative. I'm even okay with alternative, but like fucking Drowning Pool, that makes sense. Step Up, that's like the theme of the movie for me. So yeah, I do like this movie. So that's all I can really say. Tomorrow in Insidious, I've not watched it ever, so I can't wait to check that out. I if I really like it, then I'm gonna like slap myself for not watching it. It's just because at that time I just wasn't as into like paranormal shit. But to see it, like, I do want to see it just because it's like how good I'm hearing it is, and especially now that I've gotten more into other types of horror compared to the time I had watched it. I had decided not to watch it. I mean, I'm open to it, so I figure why not check it out since there's so much about it. So we're gonna watch Insidious 1. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. But other than that, I'm a cheers.